welcome to Let's Do It in English, the podcast for English-speaking Kimbangists.
Ma Muilu, wanini koko kiko pesa nayo. Mama salo kumunayo. Mosala monene tata kimangu apesa kanayo. Yako batera batata mala peli ngomba oyo. Mama Muilu, wete kusoba indo tani kwena kangaya. Mama Muilu, mama
Good morning, welcome, mothers and fathers. Today's podcast is about Mama Muilu. We will talk in this podcast about Mama Muilu's life. Where was she born? Her husband and her children. We'll talk about her ministry. Her ministry toward her husband, her ministry toward her children, and her ministry towards the believers. We'll talk about her testimony for women, and then we'll end up with her legacy. We'll also cover her death. How did Mama Muilu die, and why are we celebrating her? Who was Mama Muilu? Mama Muilu was a lady who was born the 8th of May, 1885 in the Belgium Congo. Mama Muilu was married twice. She was first in a polygamous marriage. She was the second wife. From this marriage, she had one child, a girl, called Mama Kitudia. Then her husband died. Her husband, according to the tradition, she was given to her husband's nephew, who was named Papa Simo Kimbangu. From that marriage, she had 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. 3 boys. The first was Papa Kisolokele Lokelo Charles Daniel. The second born was Papa Jalunga Nakiangani Salomon Charles. The third one was Papa Jangenda Kuntima Joseph. And her last born was a girl who was born in June 1921 in Badinga. The baby was born, spoke the same day, walked the same day, and died on the same day. Those are the 5 children that Mama Muilu had. Mama Muilu died on the 27th of April 1959 in Nkamba. She was buried in Ngombe Kinsuka, which is just adjacent to Nkamba. Mama Muilu was educated by the Protestant church, and she was baptized by them. She was literate. She could read and write. Let's talk about Mama Muilu's ministry. As I said before, Mama Muilu's ministry has 3 aspects: her husband, her children, and the believers. Let's talk first about the ministry of Mama Muilu toward her husband. Mama Muilu was a woman who supported her husband as a real helper, as per Genesis 2:18, where God said, let's make him a helper. Why do we like Mama Muilu so much, or why do the Kimbangis Church put her as a role model for women? because Mama Muilu understood her mission, the mission of a true helper. In April 1921, Papa Simon Kimbangu started his ministry. He started it on the 6th of April 1921. But before starting his ministry, he was refusing to start his ministry. Jesus came to him in November 1920, and he said to him, the time has come for you to start the work we agreed. And he refused. Mama Muilu didn't know that. He went to Kinshasa and spent 5 months and then came back in April. And Jesus was saying, this is the time you need to start working for me now. And he refused. Then Mama Muilu started seeing him talking with somebody that she couldn't see. And this is very important. She couldn't see what the person who her husband was talking to. First, she was scared. Then she asked him, who are you talking to? And Papa Simon explained, I'm talking to Jesus Christ of Nazareth. He's asking me to start working for him. But I don't want to. Why? Mama Muilu said, I don't want to because he's saying that this is going to be very difficult. I will have to go to prison and leave you and the children. You and the children will have to go to prison. I will have to go to prison and we will suffer. And Mama Muilu's answer was, accept this ministry. I will support you. By saying this, accept, I will support you, she embraced her mission as a helper, as in Genesis 2:18. But she didn't just say it. She totally embraced and embodied her husband's mission. She accepted going through a life of poverty and house arrest and hunger. Mama Muilu was not deported like the others. She stayed in Kamba. She was living next to her parents. She was living next to her uncles and her blood relatives, cousin, uncles, grandparents. She was living in the same village as them. She only had to say, well, you know what? This is not my mission. This is his mission. I don't know why I have to go in prison. I never agreed to anything. This is not my mission. It's his mission. He's in prison. So, me, she just go to the Belgian people and say, you know what? Me and this man, we were not even married for 10 years. So I don't know why you people are putting me in prison. I'll renounce him. And she would have been free. But Mama Muilu accepted to stay more than 30 years in house arrest. It's not in prison, in house arrest. That means you put your head through the window, you can see your cousin eating, but you're not eating. If you put your face through the window, or if you go, because she could walk 100 meters away from her house, you see the whole entire village is still living peacefully. You're the only one suffering there. You see your parents, you see your uncles and everything. They're all there. Some of them were deported, but most of them were there. You only have to say, I have enough. But she refused. She completely embodied and embraced supporting her husband, despite the poverty. She expressed and embodied what Ruth says in Ruth 1, verse 17. I'll read it for you. In Ruth 1, verse 17, it says, Ruth 1, verse 16 and 17. But Ruth said, give up requesting me to go away from you, or to go back without you. For where you go, I will go. And where you take your rest, I will take my rest. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wherever death come to you, death will come to me, and there will be my last resting place. The Lord do so to me and more, if I parted by anything but death. And this is what Ma Muilu did. When she got married to Papa Sibahimbang, she made this vow that sometimes we don't do. That this is forever. Wherever you will go, I will go. Whatever will happen to you will happen to me. The only thing that will put us apart will be death. This is why Ma Muilu stayed 30 years in Kamba, supporting her husband, despite it very easy to just refuse him, to deny him, and be set free. The man was not there. She was in Kamba, he was in Lubumbashi, with Tisville, which is not next to each other. It's like somebody being in London and the other one being in Paris. It is not next to each other. And there's no phone, there's no communication means, but spirits could just rebuke him and then carry on with your life. Because that's what the Belgians were trying to make her do. But she refused. She was a true submissive woman. Nowadays, women and men see submission as an imprisonment, a degradation of womanhood, an abnegation of womanhood. And to say that they often quote the scriptures, and they will quote Ephesians 5:22 to 24. And that's the favorite scriptures of every man out there that say, women, you need to be submissive to your husband like you are submitting unto the Lord. This is the first verse, favorite verse of most men. You need to be submissive to your husband as you're submitting unto the Lord. But by saying this, they forget the male aspect of this submission, which is also in Ephesians 5:25 to 28, that says, men, you need to love your wife like the Lord loved the church, being able to die for her, give your life for her, completely give up yourself for the woman, as the Lord has done, accepting to die to the cross. When you look at both, the men one is harder, because you need to be able to put your life at risk to save that person. You need to be protecting that person's interest more than yours, because you need to accept death. But the way the word phrase submission is as if the woman has the worst bit of it. Me, I just need to submit to your mission, and that's basically it. But the man has to submit to death. Put yourself in the way you need to die for me, the woman. It's also said in Peter that the Bible said that you need to protect. 1 Peter 3 verse 7. You need to protect the woman. Let's read it together. It's 1 Peter 1 Peter 3, chapter 3, verse 7. It says, and you, husband, give though to your way of life with your wife, giving honor to the woman, who is the feebler vessel, but who has equal part in the heritage of the grace of life, so that you may not be kept from prayers. I mean, they are telling you, this person has the same heritage as you, but you need to take care of them. So you take care of yourself, and you need to take care of that person. But you will inherit equally. Why? But that's the part of the men. But The world has made it that submission is the wife has to become like a slave, when actually the Bible says the person that has the hardest bit of submission is the man. And we see in Papa Simekimbang and Mama Muilu. Papa Simekimbang was in prison in Tisville, Lubumbashi. Mama Muilu was in Kamba, but despite being far away from each other, like somebody who is in London, let's say Kamba is London, and Lubumbashi is Paris, because that's about the distance there is between those two cities. About 6 hours by car. But despite being that far, every single day, Papa Simekimbang was coming to show her his love. That I love you like God loved the church. I'm ready to die. I'm ready to put my suffering aside to see you, to love you, and make you comfortable. If he was a man that understands submission, as submission is the woman being the slave of the man, Papa Simekimbang would have said, lady, each to their own. I'm suffering, you're suffering. Your suffering is not worse than mine. I'm in a prison that is 80 centimeters by 120 centimeters. You are in your house. So each to their own. Let's meet at the end. But no, because Papa Simekimbang understood what is the man's part in submission. He was giving her part, taking care of her. You can see submission, the male aspect of what the man is supposed to do in Ephesians 5:25-28, 1 Peter 3:7, and in Genesis 21:11. Let's read Genesis together. Genesis 21:11. It says, give your ears to whatever Sarah says to you. There again, God is showing how important is woman to man. Because God is telling Abraham, listen to your wife. Listen to her needs. Sarah was asking, can you please get rid of that child? And Abraham was sad about it. But God said to him, put your ear to what your wife is saying. This is submission. This is marriage. This is you and me. This is a partnership. I submit, you protect. Listen to my needs. The real submission brings joy, comfort, happiness. Because you know that you are protected physically, emotionally, financially. Because you're attached to a provider. And that's what Papa Simekimbang and Mama Muilu demonstrated. Some women nowadays will say, I don't need protection. I'm a strong woman. I'm a CEO. I buy my own food. I buy my own clothes. I do everything. I don't need a protector. What do I need a protector for? Even CEOs, even queens still need a protector. You need somebody to protect your interests. Even if you can buy your own clothes, buy your own food, you still need somebody to protect your interests. And that's the role of the man. And that's what submission is about. You submit, they protect. Mama Muilu's life was dedicated to supporting her husband's mission. And by doing that, she found her purpose. Submitting to her husband did not destroy her humanhood or womanhood. She blossomed by submitting to her husband. She became the first spiritual leader of a global African church. Had she refused to submit, she would have just been with some random African girl that was born in 18 something and died in 19 something. Who remember the others? Can you give me the name of any African woman that was born there that did not submit? We don't know them. She embodied She was not dehumanized or dewomanized by embracing submission. She blossomed and she found her purpose. She's forever remembered as the first spiritual leader of the only African-born church who is global. She's the only one. There is no other African church but Kimbangi's church that has an African prophet that has their roots in Africa. And Mama Muilu is the first spiritual leader of that church. Why? Because she submits. Because she submitted to her husband. And that's how she gained that status. She is what the Bible calls a clever woman. We can see that in 1 Samuel 25. There's a woman there called Abigail. Abigail saved her husband and her country by submitting her to her husband. Understanding the weakness of her husband, she pleaded for him. She supported him. The Bible called her a clever woman. What is the second aspect of Mama Muilu? The second aspect of Mama Muilu is her motherhood. Mama Muilu, as I said, she had 5 children, 4 surviving one. She raised 1 girl and 3 boys. And she raised all her children to serve God. And they became spiritual leaders. She raised her children according to Ephesians 6:4 that says, "Parents, do not irritate your children." And she raised her children according to 1 Samuel 1:28. Let's read 1 Samuel 1:28. 1 Samuel 1 verse 28 says, So I have given him to the Lord. For all his life he is the Lord. Then they gave worship there. This is the story of Samuel, where when he was born, his mother Anna committed her son to the Lord. You would say, well, they were godly anyway. So it's not like she had any other choice. She had a choice. She definitely had the choice. Because she was there suffering with 3 children that are the dad is not there. She had the choice to say, this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. But she believed in her children. Like Mary, the mother of Jesus, believed in Jesus. You can see that in John 2, verse 1 to 8. When Jesus went to the wedding in Cana, Mary was the only one that believed in her child and said, there's no more wine, my child can make some. Because she believed in his mission. Nobody knew at that time that Jesus could make miracle, but his mother. The same thing, nobody knew the 3 fathers were holy, but Mama Muilu, and she believed in them, and she encouraged them to follow. They were godly. She definitely had the choice. You can see how mother destroyed their children's destiny in the Bible. It's doable. If you read Genesis 27, 5 to 17, it's the story of Rebecca. Rebecca is Isaac's wife. Rebecca stole her son's blessing. She stole Esau's blessing because she prefers the other one. Esau had the blessing of God and of his dad. The mom took the blessing away and gave it to the younger one. Mother can definitely influence their children and destroy their destiny. If Mama Muilu wanted, she could have destroyed the 3 fathers' destiny. The dad was not there. It was spiritual apparition that he was doing You can rebuke spiritual apparition. You rebuke them. When the child come, Mom, I had a dream. Papa was a Papa who? You can't see that we are suffering. Me, I'm trying to get ourselves out of this nonsense, and you are coming with Papa. I saw Papa. Which Papa? Next time I hear you talking about your Papa. It's simple. We do it. We, mothers and parents, we do it with our children. When your child come, I want to go to Fakir, I want to go to Sylvia. I don't like those nonsense. I don't like those people. I don't want to hear about Fakir anymore. You're destroying your child's destiny there, right there. You're destroying it. Because you have a problem with people in Faki, or you have a problem with people in Jeteki, you're destroying your child's destiny. I don't want. There's no Faki in my house. There's no Jeteki in my house. I don't want to hear about Koreki. I can give you examples of mothers that have destroyed their children's destiny. Simple example. Working bankers. Everybody knows that extension is forbidden at church. But you will see the mothers going and buy extension for their children, putting that in their head. They know your child is in MSSK, or your child is in Jeteki or Faki, but you are the one that go and buy the extension and you put it in their head. You have the favorite hairdresser that comes and do extension on your child. Don't you know that it's forbidden? But you're destroying your child's destiny, God-given destiny, just there. Just like Rebecca took away the blessing of Esau and gave it to Jacob. That's what you're doing with your child. It is possible Mama Muilu could have destroyed the God-given destiny for her children. Or if not destroyed, at least delayed it. Because there were 3. She was left with a 3-year-old, Papa Jengenda, and a 5-year-old. What do they know? When the dad comes spiritually, I want to see my children. Which children? Are you not in prison? Which one is your own? Leave. That's it. She didn't have to submit. She didn't have to raise her children to continue following their dad. Your dad is an imbecile. Your dad believed in one Jesus, and me, I was there. I didn't see Jesus. He was talking by himself. He was talking to the 3. I don't know what he's still. If we come rebuke him in the name of Jesus, we are Protestant. We don't believe in those kind of nonsense. Rebuke your dad. Rebuke. In fact, that's not the dad. That's the devil's coming. Your dad is in prison. You say that long enough to a 3-year-old, he will forget his dad. He was 3. Papa Jengena was 3. Say it hard enough, he will forget his dad. But she decided to bless her children, carry them on for 30 years. It's not a small matter. Understand that Papa Jengena was 3. By the time he took him his ministry, he was in his 40s. So from 3 years old to his 40s, she could have done anything. Papa, have you seen your dad? Have you seen him? Do you know what he looks like? Please, child. We are suffering. Come and find a new husband. It's very easy, and mothers do it every single day. Every single day, you take the child from that dad and give it to that dad, and when he has memories, dreams, or whatever, we take them to a psychologist. Remove that thing from me. He's having nightmare of his dad. The dad is we do it every day. It's very easy. But she raised her 4 children to serve God. The 4 of them, especially Papa Kisolokele, was still little. He was only 6 years old when he was 7 years old when he was taken away. It was very easy for her to say, rebuke your dad and come. But she raised her 4 children because she was still keeping contact by mail to all her children wherever they were up to her death. And she was still explaining to them, this is the way, this is what your dad, this is the mission. This is what Papa Simon was saying. This is what you have to do. Don't do that. Do this. Marry this woman. Don't marry this woman. Do that. She was still up to her dying day, making sure her 4 children kept going on to Papa Simon Kimbangu's way. That's her ministry as a mother. Most of us mothers, we don't raise our children like Mama Muilu. We don't. He will learn when he's grown up. Who told you that he's going to go all the way? Who's telling you that he's going to grow up? So if your child dies, God forbid, at 5, you have submitted. So that's how Mama Muilu managed to accomplish her ministry as a mother. She had another ministry. She was the leader of the church. She had her leadership as a ministry. Mama Muilu kept the faith going. We always have to remind ourselves that Papa Simon Kimbangu preached only for 90 days. 90 days. But the church is still here 100 years later because of Mama Muilu. When Papa Simon Kimbangu left in 1921, he was in prison. You could send him letters, but it was forbidden for him to send you letters. He was only spiritually, he was coming to people. He was coming spiritually, there was vision, he was coming physically. He did not, but wherever he was going, everywhere in the world, he was sending people to Nkamba. Go Nkamba. That's where I'm from. Go to Nkamba, you find my wife, my children, and my Nkamba there. That's where you're going to get the blessing. He was sending everywhere, everybody. I'm testifying because my grandfather was in what was at the time Equateur in the Belgium Congo. He met Papa Simon Kimbangu and he sent him to Nkamba. So Nkamba, there's nobody there. This is just a village. There's a woman there. That's where everybody's going. That woman could have sent everybody away and say, the man is not here. Can you please leave me alone? Can you please let me breathe? Can I have my peace? But she was receiving everybody. And she kept the faith going. She kept the faith going. A lot of people say women don't keep the faith going, but you'll see the good news of Jesus Christ. The first person to say it was a woman, was his mother. His mother, Mary, said to her then fiancé Joseph, the Lord has come to me. And he said, his son is coming through me. That's a woman. God went to the woman first. He didn't go to Joseph, said, oh, I'm going to go to your girlfriend and I'm going to make her pregnant. No, he went to the woman. The woman kept the faith and the good news going. When Jesus Christ died, Jesus had 12, at the time 11 disciples. He had 11 disciples, and when the women went to the tomb, they went with a man. They went with a man. But Jesus spoke to the women. You can see it in Matthew 28:10, in Mark 16:7, and in John 20 verse 18. Jesus doesn't speak to the man. He speaks to the women and he said, Mary, go and tell the others that I'm resurrected and I'm coming to see them. It's the women that spread the good news. It's the women can have leadership because they always had leadership of the good news. Even if the men kept carry on afterwards, but the first person to tell you the Lord is coming was Mary, the mother of Jesus. She was the first one to receive the good news that God is coming here. She was the first one to carry God. And women, Mary Magdalene was the first one that Jesus spoke to say, tell the others. But the man was there. So women can have leadership with God. Women have saved the Israelites. Women have kept the nation of Israelite and their husbands strong and the faith going. Mama Muilu was like Deborah. You read about Deborah in Judges 4, and in Judges 5:7, she's singing, and this is what her psalm says. Is in Judges 5:7. Judges 5 verse 7. So the country town were no more in Israel, were no more till Deborah came up, till you came up as the mother in Israel. So God does use women to save, to carry on the faith. And that's what Ma Muilu did. She did it for 30 years. She kept the good news. This is what my husband was doing. This is what my mother, because she was not aware of the other miracles. Because you can say Papa Simukimbang appeared in Kenya, he appeared in Nigeria, that's what we know. He appeared in other parts of the Congo. She was not aware. There was no phone. Nobody was phoning her to say, listen, I'm here in Mbandaka, I'm here in Lubumbashi, I'm here in Kisangani, and your husband is here. No. She had only the first testimony of the 90 days. That's all she had. She has only the 90 days to go for the whole life. But when people were coming, because people kept going to Nkamba from 1921 to the day she died, 1959. Me, I would have been tired by 1923. By 1923, when you come, Papa said, dear money, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Do you see him here? You're coming from where? Please, my friend. But from 1921 to 1959, Ma Muilu kept the faith going. People were coming to her. She was explaining, this is what he does. This is what he did. This is what the miracle he said. This is what he said will happen in the future. She had 19 days. 19 days. That's when the ministry of Papa Simon was 19 days. But she took those 19 days and made it in the church that you see today. There is more than 25,000 people. 25 million of people around the world. For 19 days, that woman kept the faith going, and it grows into what we are now. She could have killed it. When you come to Nkamba, Papa Simukimang will send me Mayankamba. There's no Mayankamba here. I don't even know what you're talking about. You said there's a holy water here, my friend. I'm the wife. I'm telling you there's no holy water. Please go back to where you're coming from. And that's it. That's what people don't understand. And most of us, we see Mama Muilu as these old mamas. Old something mama. She was 23. She was 23 during those 19 days. You're 23 all the way to... But you're still keeping it on. A marriage that did not last 10 years. Her marriage to Papa Simon Himang did not last 10 years. So now, less than 10 years of marriage, but you keep the faith, and 19 days of preaching, but she kept the faith going for over 30 years by herself. She was the leader of the church, the movement first. And when she saw the movement becoming big, she started to organize it. Because everybody else was sent away. She was the one in Kamba. She started to organize the movement. She started to organize it. And she said, I remember that she was literate. She was raised by Protestant. She was part of the Protestant church before. She understood that there's too many of us now. And I can't preach and teach everybody. We are preaching Jesus Christ. We are preaching Papa Simahimbangu. She raised pastors. She was the first spiritual leaders who said, this is no longer just some people randomly. We need to organize. And on the 12th of April 1959, she gave cards to pastors. She designated people. You're going to be a pastor. You're going to be a pastor. You're going to be a pastor. And she made them pastor. So they can carry on the faith. Understand, 1921, 1959. Me, personally, I would have stopped by 1923. By then, when you come and tell me your husband, because I'm suffering, I would have denied the husband. By the time you come, I'm already married twice. I'm already married twice. I have already 5 children in 3 years. Because I don't want to suffer. But she kept going. She kept the benediction going. She kept the family benediction going. Like it says in Genesis 24:53. Let's read together. Genesis 24:53. It says, then he took jewels of silver and jewels of gold and fair robe and gave them to Rebekah. And he gave things of value to her mothers and brothers. You can become a benediction to your family the way Mama Muilu was and is for the whole of Congo. Why? Because she did not reject her mission of becoming a spiritual leader. She kept it going. She could have said, this is me and my dad and my children. Which one is you? What do you want from us? But she kept the faith going and she became a benediction for whole her family. Everybody is happy to be Mama Muilu's relative nowadays. Even if it's 5th time relatives. I'm in Mama Muilu's family. Let's all cramp ourselves in there. Because she made everybody proud. How did Mama Muilu die? Mama Muilu died on the 27th of April 1959. She died in Kamba, Jerusalem. She was still in house arrest. Understand, from 1921 to 1959, she was in house arrest. She could not legally leave her house. She was sometimes leaving her house because divinely, spiritually, she could leave. It's not that she will leave her body. She will walk out and the Belgium didn't know that she has left. But legally, she could not leave. So she stayed in Kamba from 1921 to 1959 and she died on the 27th of April. She died at home, surrounded by believers. On the day of her burial, which was the next day, the 28th of April, people saw angels. People saw angels everywhere in Kamba, everywhere in Ngombe Kinsuka where she was buried. People saw angels coming to greet her. Mama Muilu said that I need to go because I need to go and plead for you people. Mama Muilu knew her mission was like Mary in John 2:1-8, when Mary was pleading to Jesus, we are in a wedding and there's no more food. Can you please help? And Jesus said, it is not my time. But because it's the mother that asked, Jesus gave. And Mama Muilu said, I need to go so I can ask on your behalf. I need to go so I can ask on your behalf. The same way Mary asked on the behalf of the new spouse, the newlyweds. She asked, can you please make us some more wine? And Jesus, it's not my time. It's not your time, but your mom asked. So he did. And that's when Mama Muilu understood that I am the mother of the 3 fathers. I'm the wife of Papa Simo. If I ask, they will do. So let me go and ask, because the Congo is suffering. Africa is suffering. Black people are suffering too much. I need to go and plead. She went on the 27th of April 1959. 2 months after her death, the Congo became independent. This is Mama Muilu's life and ministry. What is her legacy? The legacy of Mama Muilu is AFKI. Recognizing her work, Papa Diangenda requested older women to teach the ways of Mama Muilu. And he formed AFKI, what is Association des Femmes Kimbangistes, Kimbangist Women Association. The aim of AFKI is not just to have a group of women coming and gossip together. The aim of AFKI is to do what Jesus says it has to be done in Titus 2, chapter 2, verse 4 and 5. Let's read together. So it's Titus 2, verse 4 and 5. It reads, so they're talking to the older woman in verse 3. The older women are to be self-respected respecting in behavior, not saying evil to others, not given to taking much wine, teachers of what is good. And what is afki? What Jesus says in Titus 2 verse 4 and 5. The older woman has to be training the younger woman to have love for their husband and children, to be wise in mind, clean in heart, kind, working in their house, living under the authority of their husband, so no evil may be said of the word of God. This is what Afki is supposed to be. This is what Afki is supposed to do. Afki is not to preach Christianity. Christianity is preached Sundays and when we are in our different groups. What Afki is supposed to do is teach women what to do in how to be a Christian woman according to the Lord, how to submit to your husband, how to be a good mother. This is what we're supposed to do in Afki. We're not there to say a good Christian is supposed to pray 5 times. A good Christian is supposed to... No. Afki is supposed to explain to women, this is how you submit to your husband. This is the pleasurable aspect of submitting. We are older. I've submitted to my husband and this is what I've achieved. Let me explain to you according to the Bible how submission is not the abnegation of womanhood, but this is how you're gonna blossom. Let us teach you how you're supposed to raise your children so they can be tomorrow people of God. This is what Afki is supposed to do. So in conclusion, there was two great aspects of Mama Muilu. Mama Muilu teach us how to be in private. She teaches us how to submit to her husband. She teaches us how to be good mothers. But she also teaches us how to be in public. She teaches that women are capable of leadership. Women are capable of being leaders, great leaders, spiritual and physical leaders. The lie of the word is what? The word is trying to explain to us that you have to be either one or the other. You either submit to men in general, wherever. I mean, the woman is always at the back. Can't take leadership. Can't do nothing. At home, you are below. Outside, you are below. Or, the word is trying to explain to us that women are equal to men. And our equality means we are equal at home, 50-50. I do, you do. I talk, you talk. I decide, you decide. I'm the master, you're a master. We are both masters in the house. And outside, I'm a leader. I'm a CEO. I'm a president. That's not what Mama Muilu teach. That's not what she teached. And that's not what she demonstrates. She demonstrated and embodied what a woman is. You submit to your husband's mission, but you're a leader outside your house. There's two aspects of womanhood. You can be a submissive mother. You can be a submissive woman, but you can still at the same time be a leader. You can still at the same time be a leader. Being a leader outside doesn't mean that you have to be unsubmissive inside the house. Submission doesn't mean is not negative. Doesn't mean you follow blindly old stupidness. And it doesn't give a green card to men to do any kind of obnoxious thing because nobody's going to say no. This is not submission. Submission is a partnership. What Papa Simokimbang and Mama Muilu demonstrated to us. What is submission? You submit, I protect. There's two things. You submit and I die for you. That's what submission is. And this is what Mama Muilu demonstrated. This is what Mama Muilu asked. This is what Afki is supposed to teach us, how to submit in the house and be leaders outside. And this is what the Kimbangis Church tries to embrace, because we have women pastors, we have women that are pastors that are responsible of a whole parish, but we also have women are responsible for a whole region. Women are not only mothers. The same women that are mothers are responsible for a whole region. They are representing a whole region. When we go to Nkamba, pay attention to women. When they say we are asking the regional representative to stand up, you'll see that there is women, because women can be leaders outside. Women are not only submissive, they can be leader outside. You will see from the groups Afki, Faki, Jeteki, Koreki, whichever other group, Yerusalemi, you will see some of those groups have women as their leader. This is not because we are stupid, this is because we are following what God is saying, that women can be leaders as well. Those women are all married. They're all married. They're either widow or married. And when you see those women with their husband, they are submissive. They are submissive. Submission is in the house. Outside, I am your leader. This is what Mama Muilu demonstrated. And this is why the Kimbangis Church see Mama Muilu as the embodiment of womanhood. I hope this podcast is helping you. I'm sorry for the lens, but I really had to explain everything thoroughly. Thank you, and I'll see you at the next podcast.